How you going, boys and girls, and welcome to the channel. So we're getting stuck into the rough HQ again. Now I will be documenting majority of this build where I can, so there will be a lot more content coming up in the future of this car, so make sure you hit the subscribe button and stay along for the ride. So in the last episode we got this one mounted on the rotisserie, and now I am prepping it up to get sandblasted or garnet blasted. So garnet is basically the sand equivalent without the silica issues involved with it. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm opening up everything that I need to open up, because there's no point getting something blasted if I'm not going to use it. For example, the sill panel's totally stuffed on this car, but I may end up using some of what is left of the inner sill panel. So I want to get that blasted. So when it comes time to welding to it, I have something, reasonably clean to weld to once again. This doesn't look too bad, I tell you. It's not that bad. It's fine. It's completely fine. I'm not mad, I'm not angry, it's completely fine. So they definitely always look their worst at this stage, I reckon, because you've always got a bit of dirt, bit of inconsistency, surface rust, old coatings, that kind of thing, all stuck in these areas. But once they're blasted up and they have a fresh coat of epoxy in them, they usually look pretty good. Even if there is rust, it suddenly becomes less daunting. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's just psychological, but maybe it's just because you've got a clean slate, even though it needs a lot of work, it just looks better. I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe someone else knows a bit more about it than me, but somebody knows a bit more about the psychological side of it. But to me, once something's cleaned up, it doesn't look that bad, but yeah, definitely looks a lot worse when it's at this stage. So once the sill panels were, trimmed off, and I took off that bottom edge just so, it became accessible once more, it was then time to tackle the cow panel and plenum area, because obviously I want to get the back edge of the firewall blasted up. I already know that the plenum and the cow panel on this car is absolutely stuffed, so there's no point, getting that stuff blasted and then, having to unpick it afterwards and, uncovering, stuff that needs to be cleaned up but isn't. So yeah, always supposed to get all this stuff out now and then get it blasted, and then you're working on a clean slate again. So that's the cow panel and the plenum out. Now all the inside of the dash and the back side of the firewall is all accessible for blasting. After that, I then basically went through the entire cabin and scraped out the majority of the seam sealer. That beautiful sealer from factory you can't paint over, so you got to get rid of all of that before you go and put on some new coatings. So I knew this quarter panel was going to be pretty bad, but I don't think I was expecting it to be as bad as what it was. But you know what, it's something that I knew it was going to be bad, but so I was going to be fixing it. So I can't be too disappointed about it.
you know, it is what it is. It's just metal and it needs to be replaced or fixed. So another thing that I ended up doing was I ended up just trimming off the dog legs because I knew they were stuffed, but I just thought, you know what, it's one less place that garnet is going to get trapped in. So chopped them off, and yeah, and it became an access hole to blow garnet out through. So less garnet ended up in the epoxy because, yeah, there's always a little bit of something that ends up in the epoxy. It always blows out of somewhere whenever you blast a car. So the video's getting ahead of me a little bit right now. What I'm doing here is I'm basically just sweating out all the lead in the factory panel joints. The reason why I do that is a lot of the time that there is rust found under them, and you know, I just thought I'll sweat them out, I'll get the blaster to give it a quick whip over, and you know, hopefully they should be pretty good under there. Turns out some of them did have a little bit of rust, and I'll show that later in the video. So it's everyone's favourite job, paint stripping. I just thought I'd tackle this now rather than, you know, after the car is blasted, just so I don't get any paint stripper on the epoxy primer. So I pretty much spent the day just putting on paint stripper, and you know, sitting around and doing sweet FA. I think I actually ended up editing my last video when I was paint stripping this car, so yeah, it, you know, it wasn't time that was all lost. So yeah, basically put the paint stripper on, leave it for, you know, 15-20 minutes, scrape it off, and you know, reapply a bit more. You know, it's acrylic paint at the end of the day. I don't put, you know, the most expensive paint stripper on it. I don't really see the sense in it. If you put it on thick enough, it's going to penetrate into, you know, your coatings. So a lot of the time people see, you know, your videos on, you know, Instagram or Facebook, whatever, and you know, it's like they put the thinnest coat of paint stripper on, and you know, it's peeling up, and you know, they basically just give it one scrape and it's straight down to bare metal. Anyone who's ever played with, you know, pre-1995 car, something that's been painted in acrylic, or you know, anything that's sort of a semi-soft coating from factory, you know, it doesn't work like that with this type of paint. This stuff will kind of turn into like a mushy kind of, you know, horrible stuff to work with. But it's probably the safest option, you know, because you're not putting a whole lot of the dust in the air. You know, you got to remember this is lead-based paint. So yeah, I think paint stripping it, definitely the safest and probably the quickest option, because yeah, if you try and sand this stuff up, it'll just ball, and you know, it's, yeah, not gonna be too much fun for you. So I ended up uncovering a fair bit of filler work in this quarter panel. Now all around the filler work, it's absolutely clean. You know, even though it was just primer over bare metal, that was probably wet rubbed, mind you, it was clean. But underneath the filler work there was surface rusts, and basically what that is the peroxide in the hardener causes surface rust. And so yeah, as you can see, there's a dark ring around where the filler was, so that's just one for the argument of filler onto epoxy primer, not bare metal. So that's the shell ready for blasting. I ended up moving it out into the paddock, you know, somewhere away from everything else, and yeah, and it was ready for rolling from Lake Bonnie blasting to give it a quick whip over. Well, not a quick whip over, because I mean, it definitely needed a bit of a, you know, in a few spots, but yeah, no, he did a pretty good job of it. I was pretty happy with it. Yeah, he was pretty quick on the time, pretty good on the price, and yeah, really happy with what he did in the time that he was here. So yeah, much appreciated. So there's a bit of a look before epoxy went on. Obviously everything cleaned up pretty well. There was a few little bits of seam sealer and stuff, and you know, had a few little blowouts of garnet come out of a few box sections in the epoxy process, but yeah, no, it was pretty good overall, I reckon. I was pretty happy with it. So we're all back from blasting. The epoxies are cured enough to handle the car now. So I just thought I'd give a quick look over and see how haggard she's. Oh no, look at that. No, it's not that bad really. So obviously, bit of rust in the floor pans, which I kind of already knew about. This pillar's a bit holier than magic. Obviously we got some holes in the inner sill. This hole in the sill is pretty far gone. As you can see, we're back to the braces underneath, so she'll need some work. So some obvious rust is in the firewall. So I kind of knew there was going to be a few little holes on this side, so I'm not too surprised by that. Thankfully the inside isn't too bad, but we'll see what it's like in behind the firewall, because obviously that's all double panelled. This side of the firewall, obviously if you watch the previous video, is pretty bad, but might be able to use the donor section from what I've got laying around for the pillar half of it. I think we're probably just going to do a flat section on the firewall, so I'll just shape one up, jump up on the milk crate. We'll have a bit of a look at the top side. So across the front edge of the roof, a few holes. So I'll end up making another top edge of that. Where the plenum sits into the bases of the A pillars are both pretty far gone. So I have to make up some sections there. But you know, pretty standard stuff for a car of this era. As far as down here goes, it's pretty much the same as what it was before blasting. Obviously, lower half of the dogleg area is needs major reconstruction, because I mean, obviously not meant to be able to do that. Inner sill is actually looking better than what I thought it was. This middle section here is not too bad. There's probably a few pits and stuff, but it's not too bad overall. Probably just replace the front half and the rear half. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Obviously that's all back down to the rear rail just there, so we'll probably go somewhere here, I reckon. Front section, you know, it's about here. So yeah, overall not too bad. I've noticed there was a few pinholes and stuff in this pillar right here. I don't know if you can see it, if the light catches it. But yeah, not really too surprised by that. Floor pan, pretty average. Obviously where your kick panel sits is pretty rusty as well, but to be expected. Rear floor pans, got a few little holes in them, but I'll show you that more when the car's turned on its side. Parcel shelf come up looking pretty well. So pretty happy with that, but he flies about at the moment. Wheel tubs got some rust in them, so I kind of knew this one was going to have some holes here. A few holes back here. Obviously that section's all gone. This front half section is gone. So the car may end up with a set of mini tubs in it. So a quick look at the tail end of the car. Obviously the beaver panel I knew was pretty bad, but she's pretty rusted as well. Even under where the lead was sitting, that's all pretty far gone, which is pretty common on these cars. So not too shocked by that, but you know, all the same. Boot floor pan's not too bad. Obviously there is a few holes from like where the tow bar and stuff was that I may end up patching up, we'll see. Depends what the owner wants. There is a few pinholes and stuff in the floor, but overall not too bad. We'll need a little bit of a patch up in that side just there. Across the back window is pretty rusty, so I'll end up making some sections for that. That rear edge of the parcel shelf, sort of lower section of the rear window, that's pretty far gone. You can get a section for that, but I think they're out of stock at the moment, so I may end up making one. This quarter panel is pretty bad, so probably end up making majority of that. Obviously this is probably the worst side of the car. Wheel tub, it's rusted all around the seatbelt mount. Even up and through here, you can see holes. Obviously all of this is all gone, it's gone around here. can almost guarantee underneath this plate is totally roached. Rear section here is completely rusted. So yeah, chances are it probably will run it with a set of mini tubs in it, fabricated pair. I do still have my factory ones from my HZ, but I'm unsure if I'll end up using them. Obviously the quarter panel needs quite a lot of work, so I'll end up probably remaking, 3/4 of that. So, a few days on the English wheel and a bit of TIG welding, keep me in practice. Yeah, obviously it's probably not really worth straightening out, probably quicker to just to make another one. Even the little side marker light recess is rusted, so yeah, it's not really much salvageable on that one. Yeah, so overall, I mean, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. A lot of people probably get scared at something like this, but I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if, if you're opening up something to this extent, well, chances are you're gonna have to fix the thing behind it anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you're just doing section or full replacement. It's more or less the same work at the end of the day. But yeah, anyway, I'll turn it over and I'll give you a look at the floor pan. So thankfully the floor pan isn't too beaten up. Like I said, it's kind of just a little bit holy. This rear floor pan is probably the worst of the rears. Like I said, fronts will, end up getting replaced. You can definitely see how much worse they are when the car's turned up on its side. But yeah, kind of is what it is with these cars. Gonna have to do something about this. That's rusted through there, which is that's a first for me. I haven't seen those rust out before. Well, I have, but I haven't needed to repair one. This floor pan should just be able to get away with doing a few sections in it. Underside is actually pretty good. All of this stuff blasted up really nice. No damage or anything like that. Well, that's evidence, so yeah, pretty happy with all of that. Rails all look pretty good. It's just a rust problem, which is, we always knew that was going to be an issue with this car. But, it is what it is. This is the one that we're going to build, so yeah, we'll just have to deal with it one piece at a time. There's a bit of a look at the front edge of this windscreen. Not really too much good about that one, so we'll just end up replacing that. Thankfully the sides of the roof are pretty good. I've got the blaster just to whip down inside them, so they come up pretty nice. Thankfully the top edge of the rear half of the roof is pretty good. It's just mainly down the sides, which is part of the quarter panel anyway, so shouldn't be too much to sort out. Probably be one of the first jobs that I tackle. Underneath here has got a little bit of rust. Not too much, just this section here, a couple little pinholes here and there. Thankfully, it's mainly all accessible from the top side once this section's cut out, so that shouldn't be much of a drama. Boot lip here is rusted as well, but again, not a huge job. So it's just a matter of breaking it all down into little jobs. A lot of people probably get overwhelmed when they see a car this bad, but it's just a matter of breaking it down, fixing one area at a time, and yeah, working the magic and sorting it out. So yeah, there's going to be a little bit of work in dent removal on the roof as well. I think someone's jumped on it or danced on it or something. But anyway, guys, we're going to wrap this up here. Obviously, got a lot of work on, with the rough HQ. Still waiting on getting the gold one blasted, but yeah, it's just been way too humid, way too wet to do that. So still going to be waiting a little while on that one, I think. It's terrible weather at the moment, but yeah, we'll get stuck in on the metalwork on this one. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the channel, or no, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, work your magic and I'll work mine. Yeah, someone's going to have to, so we can keep these beauties on the road. So Anyway, see you in the next one. I'll bloody get out of these flies in this humid weather, and yeah, see you in the next one, guys. Cheers.